Hey, Astro Kids, and welcome back. And this is your weekly horoscope for April 5th through April 11th. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. So, up on the screen here are the transits of this week. And we're going to be continuing on with this moon in krittika here in the sign of Taurus. Once again, this krittika nakshatra being all about burning, purification, cutting ties, removal. And so this is a huge time of cleansing and clearing out old attachments. And with this krittika nakshatra, this is the star of fire. This is lighting the path ahead. And once again, we're coming off of this new moon experience that has been all about tapping into your creativity and manifesting what you want into existence. This Aries energy that we're coming off of here has been all about starting, creating, building. And as we come into this krittika nakshatra here in Taurus, we have the same energy that is all about our initiating, our driving ahead. This krittika nakshatra is the first of our sun nakshatras that is related to leadership. So we have this conjunction that is taking place with Rahu. This is the main Rahu. We had that true Rahu that already has shifted from its location back into Aries. With this moon here in this conjunction with Rahu, this is definitely a great time to tap into your intuition, into your creativity, and to apply this towards your projects and goals. This is also a time, though, to pay close attention to your health. This Rahu is very restless. This can cause a lot of anxiety and frustration. This can be a huge time where you're very ungrounded, where this is a great time to really implement some practices of grounding yourself, of meditating, of making sure that you're taking the proper care of your health on all levels. We are also out of this Kalsarpa as the moon is crossing over this Rahu. Following this, we will see the moon shift ahead into rohini, still here in the sign of Taurus. Rohini is all about growth, about progress, improvement. This is a very creative energy that is about manifesting, multiplying. And so here in rohini, this is once again a very fertile time of using your creative energies, of using your potential to move towards the results that you want to see. We still have this conjunction here with Rahu, where once again we have this creativity, this ingenious, this intuition of Rahu to tap into and to really move towards our goals. Rahu is also a very ambitious planet, and so this is a huge time of continuing to push forward to make some progress and headway towards these goals. On April 6th, we're going to see the moon continue here in this sign of Taurus in this nakshatra of rohini. But later on, we're going to see the moon shift ahead into mrigashira. Mrigashira really is about finding happiness and fulfillment in life. And this especially becomes about searching for this fulfillment, for this purpose, for this sense of what is going to give us some kind of meaning in life as we shift ahead into our next sign of Gemini. A lot of mental analysis, a lot of searching, pondering, thinking, trying to discover something that is going to move us along on our journey. And once again, as this moon is still here in Taurus, it will be in this conjunction with Rahu. But as the moon shifts ahead into Gemini, we will see an aspect over from Jupiter, which sits there at the very tail end of Aquarius in Purva Bhadrapada. And so this is especially a great time of looking at different possibilities, dreams, ideas, visions that you have, applying this to the results that you want to see. On April 7th, we will see the moon continue in this mrigashira nakshatra, still with this aspect over from Jupiter. The moon will shift ahead, though, later on here into ardra. And ardra is our first of our dreadful nakshatras. This is a huge nakshatra that is related to suffering, that is related to difficulties and hardships. This is the storm, and here this is called the star of sorrow. But ardra is said to have the power to make efforts. And so this is all about your ability to bounce back from defeat, to keep going through this storm and have this resilience. The effort that you apply will give you great results, especially as we have this aspect over from Jupiter here as we're here in ardra. Now, also here on April 7th, we're going to see Mars shift ahead into Aquarius. So very different energy from what we saw with Mars in Capricorn, where it was in its exaltation, all about getting towards some sort of result, putting in the discipline and the effort to get to the top. That Mars Capricorn also being in exaltation is where this Martian energy is not necessarily as assertive. It is more about the strategy, more about the practical. We also saw this Mars Capricorn being highly related to war and conflict. So we saw Mars at its height there in Capricorn, where it really becomes about power, about status, about the height of this Martian energy. As Mars comes into Aquarius, we still have this Saturnian influence as Saturn rules over Capricorn and Aquarius, but very different energy compared to Capricorn. Aquarius definitely is very eccentric, very idealistic, very much about thinking outside the box and moving towards your visions, your goals, and this bigger philosophical thinking, this thinking in terms of humanity, in terms of the world, in terms of future possibilities. And so as this Mars shifts ahead into Aquarius, this is definitely more of a reserved influence, where this is more about the energy to intellectualize, to think, to strategize, to plan. This is not necessarily a down-to-earth energy where this is going to apply to the more practical aspects of our lives. And so this is definitely an important time to pay attention to how you are using your energy, to how you're applying this to your life. This Mars in Aquarius can definitely be a very daydreamy time of just putting your energy into thinking and pondering. But what are you going to do with that energy? What are the steps to take that dream and bring it back down into reality? On April 8th, we're going to see the moon still here in ardra in this aspect to Jupiter. Once again, very beneficial for your efforts and your ability to push forward towards the results that you want to see. We're going to see later on that this moon will shift ahead into punarvasu, which is a great position. Punarvasu is one of our lucky nakshatras that is all about fortune, happiness, good luck. This is a protected nakshatra that is about your comforts, your happiness, very much connected to the fourth house of the chart, which is all about our mental peace, happiness, comfort, our connection to home and the mother. And so this is definitely a time of really looking at your security and happiness, where you are mentally. This punarvasu definitely is about being more optimistic and looking towards the brighter side, as it is represented by a magical bow and quiver of arrows, where whenever these arrows are shot, they return again. So there is a second chance or an opportunity to continue to try again. Right? This is not about giving up. This is about continuing to try again, to find a different approach to how you're going to try, to remain optimistic in your odds. And we have this aspect over from Jupiter once again, which is very much in favor of this. This punarvasu is a Jupiter nakshatra. So this is very helpful towards moving towards your dreams. And especially as we'll see this punarvasu shift ahead into Cancer on the 9th. But here also on the 8th, we're going to see Mercury shift ahead into Aries. And Mercury is very happy to be moving into Aries, as it's been spending a lot of time here in the sign of Pisces, where Mercury does not function well. This Pisces energy is more about spirituality, about creativity, about compassion, love, generosity, and Mercury wants to deal with this tangible reality. What is practical, what is realistic. So Mercury struggles a lot in this Pisces energy, where there can be some communication difficulties, there can be some delays, some things that we're sort of glossing over or forgetting during this Mercury Pisces transit. And so as Mercury enters into Aries, this is definitely going to give us more of a clarity and mental sharpness moving ahead here. This Mercury Aries energy definitely is very good for getting tasks done, for moving ahead with your goals. It's very assertive and very energetic. You want to be careful though, this Mercury Aries can get very reckless, very spontaneous. This is a very quick pace energy where it can be very selfish, where you're not properly thinking things through. You're doing things based on wanting this instant gratification, based on what you want for yourself. And so it is important to slow this energy down a little bit and to really take your time when approaching your goals, especially as we have this Saturn-Mars conjunction that is happening here, where Mars is the dispositor of this Aries energy. But we have this Mercury Aries that gives us a lot of clarity and a better ability to really manage our tasks compared to this Mercury Pisces. On the 9th, once again, we're going to see this moon continue in punarvasu, and it's going to shift ahead into Cancer, where it will come into an aspect with this Pluto, Saturn, and Capricorn, also receiving an aspect over from Ketu. So we have a lot going on here, as this Pluto, Saturn over in Capricorn really has been about building, being consistent, being patient, a lot of roadblocks and delays, as this Saturn is really trying to get us to come up with some long-term results. And so a lot that is not necessarily unfolding in the time that we want it to. A lot of discipline and patience really that has been on us for a while now. The Saturn and Pluto and Capricorn also related to the government and restructuring things within our society. We have this aspect over from Ketu, which is also asking us to tap more into our creativity, into our intuition, trusting in our gut, connecting to source. Once again, this Ketu is this other half of Rahu, where we have this shadowy or illusionary aspect that is disconnected from this tangible world. Ketu, though, is more instinctual, it's more explosive, it's tapped more so into our past life experiences and the spiritual aspects of life. And so this is a huge time, once again, to tap into your inner voice, to follow your gut, to trust in spirit at this time. This is adding to this ability to move towards your goals. And we will also see this moon shift ahead into pushya, still here in Cancer. Pushya is all about accessing creative and spiritual energies. This is huge in terms of tapping into the chakras and tapping into all of our metaphysical knowledge and understanding. This Pushya Nakshatra is all about wisdom and higher truth and guidance, counsel. So this is a huge time of really listening and trusting in with your spirit guides, with seeking out guidance and inspiration at this time, and to really once again go inward, to tap into this inner wisdom and knowing within yourself, and to use this as your guide. This energy being very creative, being about achieving and accomplishing your goals. This is the pair to this punarvasu Nakshatra, where both of these are about luck and happiness. On April 10th, we're going to see the moon continue in pushya, but it's going to shift ahead into ashlesha. Ashlesha is the clinging star. This is all about holding on to things, and this ashlesha forms a Gandanta point at the very last degrees here. It's a very intense nakshatra, as it is the last one that is related to that fourth house of the home, of the mother, of what we're connected to. And so this ashlesha nakshatra is very instinctual, it's very primal. It is all about holding on to security, holding on to comforts, holding on to safety, ensuring that you are safe and protected. And so it's that last attachment to the home environment before going out into the world and pursuing your own path. This Ashlesha nakshatra also is very much connected to mystical knowledge, to intuition, to spirituality. But Ashlesha is connected to this root, this base chakra. It is about the sleeping kundalini that has not awoken, that has not arisen yet. And so this energy is very base level, base chakra, very instinctual, where it wants to hold on to what is safe. Very difficult to get out of this space and to take risk with this energy. This can be a very sensitive and emotional time with the moon passing through Ashlesha, where many of you can experience some anxiety or fears, things that are coming up at this time that are keeping you in this safe space, that are keeping you attached to something of your past. And so this is definitely a time to look at your attachments, to look at your fears, to look at all of these areas that you're sensitive in, and to see where the change needs to take place. As we run through this, we will also see the moon shift ahead into Magha here on the 11th. Magha is that first nakshatra where we're chasing after our passions. We're going out in the world, pursuing a career, searching for status, for accomplishment. This Magha nakshatra is the royal throne, the star of power, where we're trying to find our place, trying to get some sort of status, some sort of influence out in this material world. And Magha is a Ketu nakshatra. And so interestingly, we have this dichotomy with Magha where when we're trying to seek something selfishly, it doesn't work. This Ketu influence is connecting Magha to the ancestors, of honoring what is sacred. And so this is all about honoring tradition, honoring routine, and using this to move towards your goals and to achieve your spiritual goals as well. This Magha nakshatra is connected to astral travel and connecting into higher powers. And so this, on one hand, is about status, recognition, but then it also has a very spiritual side to it as well. And this is huge in terms of honoring the higher powers, honoring your ancestors when pursuing the things that you want and receiving this guidance and support along your path. As the moon comes into Magha, we will see it receive an aspect over from Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and Neptune. Very positive influence. We have this Venus, Jupiter are two benefics on the other end of this that is aiding in your success and happiness. This Mars is urging us to once again take some action to drive ahead towards our goals, but struggling a little bit in the sign of Aquarius, where this energy is very intellectualized. And so this is about how do you take your thoughts and apply it towards your goals, apply it towards what you want to see in your life. We also have here on the 11th, Rahu and Ketu. The mean nodes are here at the last degree, at this critical degree, where we're going to see them shift over into Aries and Libra on the 12th. So this is our last little journey here of these mean nodes being in Scorpio and Taurus before next week, when they're going to end up in the same location as those true nodes. Now, along with this, the card that comes up for this week is Dhanishta. And so this is all about doing things in the correct timing. Once again, we have this huge theme of this Mars-Saturn conjunction that we've been talking about, and Mars even shifting ahead into the next Saturn sign of Aquarius, where there is a huge focus that is on doing things correctly within the right timing. This Mercury in Aries even sort of asking us to take action, but to be careful about how we're taking action, as Mercury and Mars have a bit of a tricky relationship. This Mercury, along with Saturn, is wanting to do what is practical, what is rational, and Mars is the soldier. It wants to charge in, it wants to do things in a very quick and straightforward manner. And so this is a huge time of taking action, but planning out your steps carefully, doing things in the right timing that's going to give you the correct results, rather than trying to pursue this immediate gratification. This Saturn in Capricorn has been all about building this structure, this foundation in our lives. And so a lot of this is very slow in terms of the results that we are wanting to bring to life. And this can be very frustrating for some of you, as we have all of this energy that is speeding up here as we are stepping into this whole month of April. A lot of energy shifting, a lot that is moving. And so this is a huge time to be patient and to have the correct structure as you are moving ahead. A lot of temptations and things that are distracting you, throwing you off, can come up along this path as we're moving ahead in April. And so this is definitely a time to pay close attention to your choices, your decisions about how you are approaching things moving forward. Well, let's talk about how this transit is going to affect you according to each of your signs. And I am doing this according to Vedic astrology, which is using the sidereal zodiac. So if you do not know your sidereal sign, there is a calculator below in the description so that you have the correct information. This is also not according to your sun sign. If you are reading this, you want to look at your moon sign or your ascendant sign. So starting off here, for those of you with an Aries moon or Aries ascendant, we will see the moon starting off here in your second house, and this is going to go through until your fifth house. So there's a huge focus here that is especially on security for many of you here with an Aries moon, Aries ascendant during this week. We have a lot of shifts that are taking place. Rahu next week, that is going to be moving into that first house, where a lot of you are going to have a huge focus on yourself and your body and how you are growing in your life, and a little bit of a distance or detachment from relationships with others. This Rahu energy definitely is bringing you into a place of being more self-centered and focused on your individuality. And this is a huge transit where a lot of karmic lessons are going to be coming up as far as you as an individual and your security, your improvement, your growth. But this is definitely a time where you can be slightly selfish or can have a little bit of a detached attitude in your connections. So you want to be careful about how you are approaching others at this time. The moon going through the second, third, fourth, and fifth houses definitely puts a huge influence on you. Those are all personal houses very early in the chart, where this is how you are developing yourself. This is how you are gaining security, how you are initiating and putting yourself out into the world. So a lot of these energies, again, are heavily focused on you individually. We also have this Mars that's going to shift out of this Saturn conjunction taking place in your 10th house. A little bit of a frustration there with that Mars-Saturn conjunction, where a lot of you are looking to charge ahead in your career area, but Saturn is urging you here to take your time, to be a little bit more careful in your decisions. Mars is going to shift ahead into that 11th house, where this is definitely going to put a huge focus on you achieving your goals and getting what you want. You feel this pressure, like there is time running out, this energy speeding up here and wanting to get some sort of result out of this. This Mars is coming into conjunction with Venus and Jupiter here in Aquarius, which especially is putting a lot of heaviness in terms of your desires and what you want out of life. These are both beneficial planets where this is about your desires, your expansion, your growth. And so there's a huge desire for more at this time. What is the next thing that you can achieve, the next thing that you can go after? Also, a little bit of a difficulty in terms of your mental energies and how you're expressing this, as this has gone back into your 12th house. The sun, even ruling over your 5th house, has gone back into that 12th house. So a lot of you finding yourselves a little bit more withdrawn, a little bit more focused in on yourself once again, trying to make sense of where you are and where you are going from here. For those of you with a Taurus moon or Taurus ascendant, we'll start off with the moon in your first house. This can definitely be a very sensitive time with this moon in here, where you can be a little bit more emotional, more receptive, more compassionate and considerate of others as this moon's coming through here. Moon definitely is happy in the sign of Taurus, where it finds some stability, especially in the nakshatra of Krittika, where we're starting off this week. But as the moon comes through Rohini and into Mrigashira, it becomes a little bit more sensitive and restless, where this can definitely feel like a time where you are finding it difficult to sit still or difficult to think in a focused manner. A lot getting scattered with this changeability of the moon coming in here. This can also be a time where you're very focused on your appearance. We have this first house of self, where this is about your body, and this moon playing a huge factor in terms of how you are initiating and putting yourself out into the world, as it controls your 3rd house. And so definitely this is playing a role in your confidence, in your popularity, in your ability to come across in a positive light as this moon comes through this first house. As the moon shifts into your 2nd house, this also becomes a very unstable period, where this can be a huge time of really focusing heavily on your security, on your needs, on your attachments. And you can see a little bit of a fluctuation happening in terms of your finances or the money that is coming in at this time. This also is a time to pay close attention to what you are ingesting into your body. The foods that you're taking in at this time, are they healthy for you or not? This moon definitely tends to lean towards things that are a comfort, and so this is a great time to look at, are you just taking in things that are not good for you, that are just making you feel a certain way? And is this healthy for you? Is this not? We have the moon that's also going to shift ahead into that 3rd house once again, where you could see a little bit of a mental restlessness, a little bit of a lack of focus, some changeability happening there. And as the moon comes into the 4th house, this definitely can be a time where you're a little bit more private, more so withdrawn and going inward into your own space, finding some happiness within your home and with whatever is bringing you a sense of happiness and security. We have these planets of Saturn and Mars, once again, that are in this conjunction here in your 9th house. And so this could definitely be a frustrating time for those of you who are in education, where you could find yourself wanting to push ahead and running into some obstacles here with this Mars, Saturn. Saturn is not quite ready here. There are some more things that you need to pay close attention to, making sure that you have the right stability, that you are using the correct discernment in this area. And this can even apply to those of you who are seeking wisdom from gurus, from teachers, finding inspiration through others, really using your discernment and how you are approaching this rather than quickly taking on any information that is given to you. This could also be a time for some of you if you are looking to travel or looking to take on a new experience, where you can find some hurdles and difficulties in this area. We have Mars, which is going to shift ahead into your 10th house. And as Mars goes into this 10th house, this is definitely going to speed some things up in your career area. This can give you a lot of progress and success in this, especially as Venus and Jupiter have been in here. This can kind of make you a bit lazy and relaxed in this area. These two beneficial planets definitely are more about the positive aspects of life, not really built for the fight or for the push to make things happen. So this Mars definitely benefiting you as it comes into this 10th house can help you in a lot of ways to push and make things happen in your career. This could also be a time though where you are again needing to find that time alone to recharge, remembering that Mars is ruling over that 12th house of your chart, but very powerful as Mars controls your 7th house, where this can give you some great results in your career. For those of you with a Gemini moon or Gemini ascendant, we will see the moon start off in your 12th house. So starting off this week a little bit reclusive, withdrawn, maybe some comfort seeking, relaxing, taking a break, recharging your batteries as we're coming into this brand new week here. We have this Rahu that again is going to make a huge shift, and so you can feel this gigantic shift happening for many of you as this Rahu has been back into this 12th house, where it is a little bit more about going into meditation, into reflection. But as Rahu shifts back into your 11th house, this is definitely going to open you up to more opportunities. You can possibly see some more friends coming through here. This can definitely be a time where you want to be cautious even about the people who are coming in. But Rahu is very happy in the 11th house, can give you a lot of great results in terms of opening up doorways for you to new opportunities, new people coming in your circle. Huge dramatic difference from that Rahu 12th house. We also see this Mars-Saturn conjunction happening in your 8th house. And Mars in that 8th house definitely wants to fight. It wants to survive. It wants to come back from some sort of struggle or defeat. And you can find yourself having a lot of strength and perseverance during this time to really remain resilient and keep pushing through obstacles. Saturn is a little bit hindering in this process of trying to push through goals and obstacles. You may find that it's a little bit slower than what you want it to be. But with Saturn in here in this 8th house, it helps to stabilize those dramatic ups and downs and difficulties that you're going through in life. This Saturn in the 8th house also can help in your studies in terms of spirituality, going deeper, finding some sort of deeper meaning and purpose in your life. So this is very beneficial to your spiritual progress and well-being. We have Mars that's going to shift over into your 9th house. So many of you, as this energy increases, as Mars moves over into this 9th house, a lot of you are going to be starting to search for more understanding. And so coming out of this place of deep introspection in that 8th house, this definitely is a time of looking for teachers, looking for classes, looking for opportunities where you can learn and expand upon your knowledge. We also have this Sun Mercury, which is very powerful here in your 10th house, where this really has been opening up doorways for you in terms of career, in terms of possibilities that you can start to embark on. Mercury, especially being your chart ruler coming into this 10th house, is incredibly powerful, where this can give you a lot of different opportunities and directions that you can take in career. This could definitely be a huge time where your voice, where your writing, where the way that you are impacting others through your speech really is making a lot of success for you, and the Sun really giving you a lot of positive opportunities as well. Sun really does well here in this 10th house. For those of you with a Cancer moon, Cancer ascendant, we're going to see the moon start off here in the 11th house, where maybe you're a bit social, you want to have some events or attend a group setting of some kind, even an online group that you want to attend, a club, something that you're interested in that you want to do in a group setting. This also can be a huge time where you're very much focused on your goals and the direction that you want to take, especially with this Rahu conjunction here in this 11th house. Many of you very ambitious, very much driven. Now this energy is going to change dramatically as Rahu moves back into your 10th house next week. We're going to see a huge focus on your career and making strides in this area. So a lot of you, these opportunities can help you in terms of your career growth as well. We're going to see the moon shift through your 12th house. So this can be another shift that you can see as the moon comes back into this 12th house here. You can be a little bit more withdrawn and reflective. This could be a time where you are looking forward to reserving your energy, being more of a homebody at this time, really taking that time to relax and recharge your batteries. The moon coming back though into your first house of self and back into the second house is definitely going to make you more social, more open, more so about expressing yourself. And so this is a very brief period that many of you can find yourselves recharging, reflecting, going inward here as the moon shifts through this 12th house. We have Saturn Mars that is in this conjunction over here in the 7th house. Many of you may be facing some challenges in your relationships. This includes business partnerships, friendships, any sort of relationships that you're having with other people. This Martian energy definitely is looking to opportunize on some sort of endeavor with other people. And Saturn here definitely can block this or hinder this in some way where you are finding a little bit of difficulty in terms of pushing forward in these areas. Especially those of you who are involved in business, this can be a little bit of a frustrating time where you may not see the results that you want right away. This is definitely a time where you can see some older people coming into your life or people who have some sort of wisdom or experience who can give you some deeper understanding in terms of business and your path moving forward. But Mars in here can spar up some conflicts, some disagreements with others. And so this is definitely a time of thinking about how you are speaking, how you're coming across, how you're dealing with others, what you're willing to put up with, and how this is all playing in your business. Mars is also going to shift ahead into the 8th house, where a lot of the difficulties or frustrations that you have faced, you're going to find yourself pushing through these obstacles and starting to move forward in your endeavors. Those of you with a Leo moon, Leo ascendant, we're going to start off the week here with the moon in your 10th house, where there's a huge focus on your public image, your career, your responsibilities, and the moon is going to shift over into your 11th house. Also, many of you being very social, taking on new opportunities, progressing forward, looking for opportunities to gain in your career. But as the moon shifts back into the 12th house, this can be a very deep and reflective time where you can go more inward and take a little bit of a break here. But we're going to end the week here with the moon in your first house, where this is definitely going to bring this back out into the public again. And as the moon comes into your first house, you can find a lot of clarity, especially as the moon controls your 12th house, which is connected to spirituality and deeper insights. And so a lot is going to come up to the surface as this moon comes forward into your first house. We're also going to see Saturn, Mars in this conjunction once again. A lot of people having frustrations here as Mars wants to push forward, but Saturn is saying, no, let's wait, let's be more patient, let's develop a solid strategy for this. And as Mars and Saturn are here in this conjunction in your 6th house, this definitely is related to your work, related to your daily responsibilities. For some of you, related to your health or things that you're dealing with in your day-to-day life, where you're looking for some quicker results. But Saturn is in here to stop this and saying, no, this is something that you need to take your time with and to really plan this out thoroughly. Especially as Saturn is controlling your 7th house here. Anything involving contracts, dealings, you want to think this through properly before taking any direct actions. This Mars, as it controls over your 9th house, can also bring some mentors, some wisdom, some advice into your life in terms of how you are making moves at this time. We're going to see Mars shift ahead into your 7th house. This can definitely be very good for business, where you can take on some leadership role. You can get things moving in terms of the business arena, but this can be difficult as this can cause some conflicts, especially with elders or people who are in authority, where you can see a little bit of some arguments, some disagreements taking place. So you want to be careful about how you are using your speech as Mars comes in here. We're also seeing this Sun-Mercury combo, so many of you doing very well in terms of how you're managing business, how you're attracting wealth into your life, with this Sun really lighting up this 8th house zone. This is great for partnership as well, but once again, you want to be careful here. This Sun can burn out partnerships, where there can be some frustrations, some difficulties around disagreements, arguments, things happening with authority figures, especially as the Sun rules over your 1st house of self. We have Mercury in here very well in terms of using your skills and your intellect in business and dealings. For those of you with a Virgo moon, Virgo ascendant, we have the moon starting out here in your 9th house. So many of you looking to learn something new, looking at different possibilities. Some of you looking for new adventures or something stimulating in your life to take on, especially as Rahu is here. There's a little bit of a restlessness about this placement, where some of you are looking for what can you do? What can you add into your life to make this more enjoyable, to learn something new, to gain some knowledge, some new perspective. And so you can start off the week being a bit restless. You can start off this week being mentally restless, also physically restless, wanting to move, wanting to do something. And so this could be a great time of going for a walk, for practicing some deep breathing to calm down a little bit of this restless energy. We have the moon that's going to be shifting through your 10th and 11th houses. And so this is really great for approaching your goals, approaching business, getting tasks done at this time. But we're going to end this week with the moon going back into your 12th house. So as we come to a close here during the end of this week, this can be a time where you are more reclusive, more withdrawn, going inward at this time. For those of you with a Libra moon, Libra ascendant, we're going to start off the week with the moon in the 8th house. So many of you may be more private, more withdrawn, a little bit more inward at this time. This moon in this 8th house definitely is looking for some kind of privacy, some sort of space to yourself where you can work on things on your own, especially as the moon is controlling over that 10th house. A lot of you wanting to do a lot of work and complete some task in this private space to yourself. Rahu has been in this 8th house for many of you, where once again this has been a whole reclusive transit of this Rahu in Taurus. As Rahu shifts back into Aries, this is all going to change as this comes into your 7th house next week. We're going to see a lot of focus on other people, on business, on your place in the world. A lot of people can come in at this time, and you want to be careful about any relationships that you're getting into. You can definitely attract the wrong crowd with this Rahu coming into the 7th house. So a lot of discernment is needed here when starting new relationships, when choosing new partners. But this is definitely going to give you a lot of opportunities of new people and new situations, new business dealings coming in. This can be a huge time of popularity for many of you with a Libra moon, Libra ascendant. We're going to see the moon shift ahead into your 9th house, 10th house, and lastly here, your 11th house. And so this is definitely a huge week of you looking at your goals, looking at where you're headed, and especially as Rahu is going to shift very shortly here into the 7th house. This is a great time to think about your direction, your career, where you want to take things, how you're going to handle responsibilities, what you're willing to commit to. Because once Rahu comes in here, this is going to explode this 7th house, where many people are coming in, many opportunities are coming in, and this is a huge time to pay attention to how you're going to manage all of this. Are you going to be overwhelmed by this? What kind of boundaries are you forming to deal with this as this begins next week? We also have this Saturn-Mars conjunction taking place in your 4th house, where many of you have definitely had the foot on the brake for a while here, planning and thinking about where you want to take things before even taking any sort of action. So some of you may have felt at this sort of stop in the road for a while here with this Saturn-Mars conjunction. As Mars shifts ahead into your 5th house, this is going to awaken this energy where a lot of you are going to want to express yourselves more creatively, going to want to do more in your business, approach your goals more. So all of this time reflecting, planning with this Saturn-Mars 4th house is definitely going to shift into what you're going to start taking action towards as Mars comes here into this 5th house. Mars especially is going to come into a conjunction with your chart ruler Venus and with Jupiter, which is controlling that 3rd house of your self efforts. So this is a huge time of how you're moving forward, how you're taking action, and where you're going to go from here. I think a lot of you are going to be relieved as K2 shifts out of that 2nd house, where K2 in this 2nd house has definitely been dealing with a lot of childhood issues, a lot of trauma, a lot of things coming up from the past. K2 pushing back into that 1st house is definitely going to put more of a focus on you as a person, how you're growing, how you're transforming. Although it may also be a time where you're a little bit more withdrawn or reclusive with K2 coming into that 1st house. For those of you with a Scorpio moon, Scorpio ascendant, the moon's going to start off this week in your 7th house. So this is definitely a very social time. This can be a time where you're focused more on your relationships, how you're connecting and relating to people. This Rahu conjunct the moon also can increase the amount of people coming into your life or increase the desire to connect with others. The moon's going to shift through your 9th house, through your 8th house, and through your 10th house. As the moon comes into the 8th house, this can be a time where you're a little bit more private or secretive. It could also be a time though when you're getting a little bit closer and deeper in your connections. And so there's definitely a huge theme here about your relationships and connections. And once again, that 7th house doesn't need to be something that is romantic. This is any kind of connection that you have, even business connections. And so this could be time of making improvements, adjusting, getting some results through your partnerships and connections. We're going to see the moon end up in the 10th house, where this all comes down to your career and how you're focused on moving towards your goals, getting things done, especially as that moon is very auspicious, ruling over your 9th house. This is about your destiny, about where you're taking things with your career. We have this Mars-Saturn conjunction happening here in the 3rd house, where many of you have been a little bit frustrated here, especially as Mars is your chart ruler, sitting here in the 3rd house, trying to get you to move forward, to take action, to get towards your goals. And Saturn is putting up a huge roadblock here, where this is about really taking your time to think things through, to come up with a strategy. This Mars also being exalted here in Capricorn is excellent for strategizing, excellent for taking your time to make some decisions about your future. The Mars is going to shift into your 4th house. And so this could be a time where you're a little bit more emotional, sensitive, more so a homebody, a little bit protective of your family, your possessions at this time, as Mars shifts over into this 4th house. So this is definitely a time where you want to watch your mood, your emotions, how you're expressing yourself. This can be something where your emotions are increasing, where you're becoming more reactive, more defensive with this Mars 4th house. For those of you with a Sagittarius moon or Sagittarius ascendant, we will start off the week here with the moon in your 6th house. And so this can be a great time for any daily responsibilities, routines, where you're a little bit more punctual, a little bit more orderly with managing the things in your life starting off here in this week. Rahu in here can make things a little bit chaotic though, where you can find some difficulties or challenges popping up all of a sudden. This Rahu energy though does very well in the 6th house, where you can overcome any sort of obstacles that come your way. So this definitely gives you a resiliency to deal with the everyday problems and things that you need to manage in your daily life. We're going to see the moon shift ahead into your 7th house, which is increasing this focus on business and your responsibilities. This also puts a huge spotlight on your relationships, and this can be a bit of a struggle. The moon always is causing some sort of challenge here for those of you with a Sagittarius moon, Sagittarius ascendant. As the moon is controlling that 8th house, it can cause a lot of frustrations and difficulties. For those of you with a Sagittarius moon, this definitely is a great time for receiving some support in your endeavors, where you are receiving some great guidance, some great support, some great emotional support that is helping you in a lot of ways. But the ascendant Sagittarius especially can come across some major difficulties with this 8th house being a major Dhisthana house. This moon really becomes very difficult here. The moon's going to shift ahead into your 9th house and into your 10th house, where this is great for your career, great for your goals, great for your studies, everything that you're trying to improve and work on. This moon is going to help you a lot as it shifts here into this 9th and 10th house towards the end of the week. Also, we're going to see the moon that is going to shift here into your 11th house, and this is going to help with opening up new opportunities. And so what we're going to see here with this 10th and 11th house combined with this Rahu shifting back into your 5th house is a huge focus on your goals, your opportunities, what you can create for yourself moving forward here, all coming up next week. We have this Mars-Saturn conjunction taking place here in your 2nd house. And so this is definitely a time where you are finding some difficulties in terms of expressing yourself. This energy of this Mars in the 2nd house is wanting to speak directly, is wanting to get the point across, wanting to say something. There's a lot of energy here that wants to be expressed. The Saturn is saying no, be very cautious, be very careful about how you are speaking. And so there's a little bit of a conflict here. Some of you can come off a bit more withdrawn, more rational, more serious in your choice of words this week. And with this Saturn Mars being both these malefic planets, you want to be careful in general about how you are speaking and coming across to others. This can be a time where you are being a little bit dry and a little bit too forceful here in your speech. We also have this focus that is on your health, that is on your dietary habits, that is on how you're managing your finances. And this is really a great placement overall for your finances and how you're managing this with this Mars that wants to go in and take action, and Saturn giving you a lot of discipline to deal with this. For those of you with a Capricorn moon, Capricorn ascendant, this will be the moon starting out here in your 5th house. Very creative time, tapping into your creativity, tapping into your skills, your hobbies, using this. And this can help you in many ways in your profession, in your public life, in how you're approaching things in terms of your relationships, being more creative, more expressive. This is a great time for this. Rahu also in here increasing this, amplifying the effects of the moon, really giving you a huge ability to tap into your creativity, to tap into your intelligence, to tap into these different skills that you can express at this time. The moon's going to shift forward into your 6th house, where this is definitely going to be a challenging time. And we're also going to see the moon go through your 8th house, another Dhisthana house, and this 7th house, Magha house. So this can definitely be a time where you are running into a lot of conflicts, difficulties. But with the moon in the 6th house, it gives you a great ability to manage time, to be very punctual, to be very much organized and orderly in the way that you're approaching your daily routines. And so this can be very helpful in this area. As the moon comes into that 7th house, you can see a lot of fluctuations and conflicts popping up in your relationships. So this can be a little bit difficult. This can definitely be a time where if you are expressing your emotional side more, that this can open up doorways in terms of getting closer in your relationships and connections. This can also cause problems, though, depending on the people that you are allowing in. So a lot of this energy is very much back and forth all over the place. Again, this moon is a very fluctuating factor. And as we have the moon shift ahead into your 8th house, this especially becomes difficulty, where you can have a lot of emotional intensity and difficulties at the end of this week. So you want to pay close attention to this energy as we close out the week here. Mars Saturn has been in this conjunction here in your 1st house, where this definitely has been a time of trying to push ahead, trying to push forward, but also using some strategy, using some good planning, really taking your time to calculate your moves out before making any sort of sudden moves. And this has been a great position for you. Mars gets exalted there in your 1st house, and Saturn is at home. So this has been benefiting a lot of you in many ways here. Mars is going to shift forward into your 2nd house, which is also going to give you a lot of drive to work for the things that you need, to work for your family, to be very productive and active in terms of really setting some financial stability and working to get the things that you need in your life. For those of you with an Aquarius moon or Aquarius ascendant, this will be the moon starting out here in your 4th house. This is a great position, very much relaxed and very withdrawn at this time. This can be a time of connecting with your family, of going more inward, being reflective, and this works very well here for those of you as the moon gets exalted here in your 4th house. This is a place where you can find a lot of happiness and joy, and you can find yourself in a very peaceful state of mind to start off the week here. As the moon pushed forward for you, it's going to shift ahead into your 5th house, your 6th house, and it's going to end up in your 7th house. And so as we continue throughout the week, this can be where you are coming out of this shell a little bit, being more social, more focused on what you are doing for others, doing for society, doing in your work life, especially as the moon comes through this 6th house, where this is an area where you are focused on how you can help people, how you can impact humanity, very sensitive to the injustices and things that are happening in the world. So you can see a lot of motivation increase as the moon comes through this 6th house. As the moon ends up in your 7th house, this can bring a lot of frustrations and conflicts in your relationships, especially as the moon rules over your 6th house. You want to be careful of any sort of emotional outbursts or anything that is getting super intense and toxic in this area. You can have unnecessary separations and conflicts popping up in your connections. And so this is definitely a time of addressing anything that is being laid out on the table in your relationships. We have this Mars-Saturn conjunction happening back in your 12th house, where many of you have been very much back in your own world, kind of observing and strategizing, coming up with a plan from behind the scenes. But as this Mars pushes forward into your 1st house, you can find yourself being more direct, more active, more focused on approaching your goals, especially as Mars controls your 10th house of career and your 3rd house of your self-efforts. You can see the motivation, the energy, the focus increasing as we see Mars shift ahead into that 1st house. For those of you with a Pisces moon or Pisces ascendant, we'll start off the week here with the moon in your 3rd house. And this can be a time where you are very sensitive, very emotional to your surroundings. This can also be a time where you find yourself very sensitive to conflict, to any sort of competition, anything that is challenging your beliefs at this time. And so this can be a great time to take a deep breath, to take some time to yourself, to reflect. This could also be a time where you are thinking of moving location, or where there is some sort of movement happening. Some of you taking short trips, some of you going for walks. We have this fluctuation happening here in this third house. This can also be a great time for journaling, for keeping a dream journal, for reflecting, for taking that time to really review and observe everything that is happening in your life. As the moon pushes forward into this fourth house, this definitely becomes a time of being focused more on your home environment, on your connections, and really starting to have a desire for some sort of companionship, friendship, connections that you're looking to build with others. As the moon shifts forward into your fifth house, great position where your creativity, your imagination can really open up. This can be a great time for connecting with children. If you work with children, if you have children, you can see these relationships improving. You can see a lot of happiness coming through these connections at this time. This can also be a time where you are a little bit romantic or daydreamy with this moon coming into this fifth house. So you can find yourself really pondering and tapping more into that creative, imaginative side of yourself. The moon is going to end up in your sixth house by the end of this week, and so you can feel the pressures and responsibilities of your life, everything that you need to manage and take care of. But once again, this moon in the sixth house for many of us is going to be a great position for time management, for being organized and orderly. It's going to give you this sensitivity to understanding the pressures of the time and responsibilities and how to manage this. And the moon especially is a beneficial planet for those of you with Pisces moon, Pisces ascendant. It can help you big time in this area of managing your daily tasks and responsibilities. We're seeing this Mars-Saturn conjunction playing out in your 11th house, where many of you have been focusing on your big dreams, your desires, what you want to achieve at this time. But this can be a lot of frustration that you guys have here, especially as Pisces can be a little bit of a reckless, impulsive sign, where a lot of you are acting on your emotions and moving towards life in this very dreamy way. Mars here in this 11th house gives a strong urge, a strong desire, a strong belief about achieving and pursuing your dreams. But this Saturn is here to say, no, wait a minute, we need to come up with a solid plan. We need to be more rational about this. So this can be a little bit frustrating here with this Saturn-Mars conjunction. And as Mars shifts back into your 12th house, by the end of this week, there's going to definitely be a shift in your energy where you're going to be more about going inward, more about taking your time to reflect on things. And so this Martian energy is definitely going to ease up, where you're going to feel less of this frustration. And this is going to take a lot of you into meditation, into rest and relaxation. This also can take you into spirituality. So for those of you who are looking to learn to gain knowledge, especially in the metaphysics and the spiritual, this is definitely a huge time that can help you as Mars rules over that 9th house for you, coming back into this 12th house. Great time for spiritual improvement and growth. This also could be a huge time of any sort of healing, helping, impacting others in a positive way. You can see this really coming through here towards the end of this week.